Is she part of the deal with the devil that Cyrus has made? But yeah. Hello my friends, how are you doing? I always get so awkward. I feel like every time I try to start reading a book that I have very high expectations for or that I've anticipated for a while, I try to film a reading vlog and then it never comes to fruition. I have so much scrapped footage. I love calling my videos footage, by the way. That just never made it because I always end up reading so late at night that I can't like film reactions and stuff because I'm just like, you know. But I'm gonna try. Currently 7% into these infinite threads, which is book 2 of This Woven Kingdom, the series. I've already read This Woven Kingdom, obviously. I have the I've never heard cats make this noise in Australia. Dogs are involved now. I loved that book, absolute 10 out of 10, and I do have a review up on my book talk and my bookstagram if you want to follow me. Shameless self-plug. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one, and it's just like I'm literally on chapter 2. Can you see that? Chapter 2, and I'm already obsessed. The writing is just so good, but also I can't stop thinking about this like one part where, because Eliza has run through the fire, her clothes are like pretty much non-existent at this point, and Cameron's like, he could still see every lush curve of her body, the lithe shape of her legs, the swell of her breasts. Oh boy, you're convinced she's the reason your grandpa lays dead on your feet. Pull yourself together, Cameron, stand up. First, I am doing a few of those How My Friends See Me challenges for a few of my friends, which I'm so honored to have received. So I'm gonna do those, and then we're gonna get into this. I also think this is the first video with my room updated. I got new bookshelves. Cochina! Look at my tripod. And then these are my older bookshelves. I just have a bunch of things on display. And then I also have a few ballet posters up here. Also, this is gonna be like a fully spoiler filled vlog, and I'm jumping into book 2 because I was gonna do this for book 1. Again, never worked out, but I also, everybody had told me that I would like it, and so I was kind of nervous, and I was like, expectations weird, so I didn't film that. So I'm just gonna hope that you've read book 1 and you just want to see my thoughts throughout book 2. Alright everyone, I'm using my iPad kind of as a light ring. I'm going to sleep now. Well, I'm gonna continue reading, but like sleepily, because it's 11:40 and I should really get sleep because I have a lot of assignment work to do tomorrow. I know I said I'm going to sleep, but I'm back. Bro, Cameron has known Eliza for 2 weeks. It ain't that serious. I can't remember what the line exactly was, but he's like thinking about all the things he has to go through. And he's like, and Eliza, no, he wouldn't think about her. It would open a wound too deep in his chest. But you've known her 2 weeks. Is it that serious? But also, and I know she's absolutely gorgeous, stunning mama, but there's gotta be some sort of magic, because even Cyrus was like, oh, the devil sent me a hottie baddie and he thinks I'm gonna fold, but I'm not. Like, you're so hot, but I'm not gonna fall for you. And I'm like, okay. Hello, update. It is the same day, but it is now almost 10 p.m. and I'm finally back to reading. Could I have been reading all along? Yeah, I didn't want to. I am 16%, and I do think this book is gonna have second book syndrome, in which it's all vibes, no plot. Again, 16%, and we're chronologically only like an hour past the events of This Woven Kingdom. Whereas in This Woven Kingdom, 16% was like a month into the timeline. So I'm interested why we're being told every single detail. But also, y'all, hurry up. Also, Cameron was still like stuck under the magic that Cyrus put on him, where he couldn't move. And then his mom does what she does in book 1, and she throws a dagger at him. And this time he can't move, but then that pain brings him back into his body and breaks through the spell, which is interesting. I knew it was leading somewhere in book 1, but I'm interested to see more of his mom. I feel like she's gonna play an important role in this one. If I'm wrong, ignore this. I am loving Cyrus and Elise's banter. They're funny. They're funny, I can't lie. Also, we've just found out that they apparently have a lot of fireflies in Toulon, Cyrus's kingdom. Okay, so one of the girls that knew Elise, Miss Huda, was apparently giving an interview to the papers that wants to write what happened at the big ball, you know, the fight between Cyrus and Cameron and Elise running away and all that. And I'm just gonna read you this line. Ms. Huda apparently found the time to give an interview to the press, describing in excruciating detail all that she knew of Elise, and taking care to add that she'd learned the Southern King referred to Elise as Your Majesty, leading Miss Huda to speculate on record that perhaps the two had been betrothed for some time. Cameron once set it all on fire. I love that this guy has time for jealousy. I love that he has the space in his mind and in his heart to still be thinking about this. Buddy, you got our kingdom to rule. It was literally the previous page. Should they decide to seek retribution against Cyrus for killing the grandpa, it would start the bloodiest war in recent history. And all man can think about is Elise and Cyrus are they together? So basically, Cameron, when he'd been born, he'd been blessed by the diviners by a gold streak down his back, I think, to be evidence of his rightful place as the heir to Ardunia. And it's mutating, it's moving, and so he's getting this gold streak down his arm. And I know for a fact that it grows eventually onto his face because of fan art. But also at the end of the last book, Elisa mentions that he's sensitive to gold, and now I might be reaching, but could it be his sense, because it's gold streaks down his body that's gonna grow all over him, and he has a sensitivity to gold. It makes him feel like he's being suffocated. I'm connecting the dots, y'all. Okay, I'm back, and this time I am on chapter 6, and Elisa. First of all, I love Miss Tahereh Mafi and how in this book, literally every other page, she's Elisa was the most beautiful woman ever. In case you didn't know, she is the most stunning, gorgeous woman. But also, Elisa has just met Cyrus's mom. Is she part of the deal with the devil that Cyrus has made? Because she's weird. She's low-key brainwashed. Elisa literally just said, your son is a liar, a scoundrel, and a criminal. Just earlier, he murdered the king of Ardunia. And she goes, oh my god, what a delight you are. This is sus. Okay, pause. So, did I mention that Cyrus... Okay, so Elisa tries to attack Cyrus, and she's choose your weapon, and he's I'm not gonna hurt you, and she's choose your weapon, and then he throws her off a cliff, and it's I choose dragons, and then a dragon grabs her from the water, comes up, grabs her, and then deposits her basically in these massive chambers that are there's a bedroom, a bathroom, a dressing room, and quite a courtyard. Sounds quite lovely actually. And then she wakes up to Sarah, Cyrus's mom, waking her up, and she has dragon bites all over her body because a dragon attacked her, obviously. And the mom says, he really is quite the monster, isn't he? Who? My son, she said, her expression grim even as she smiled. He's an unforgivable brute. Interesting. Alright, lads, I'm 36% in, going to sleep now because I have a big day tomorrow, and it's 11 p.m. and I need to be up at 6. Basically, Cyrus's mom just asked Elisa if she can kill him. If Elisa can kill Cyrus. So I'm gonna go to sleep now, or trying to go to sleep. Hello again, how are you all today? It is currently 9 p.m. and I've had a day, and it's storming outside. We are having a summer storm, which I'm not the biggest fan, because for us to have a summer storm, it needs to get really hot in the build up for it. So what I'm gonna do is read. I haven't read anything since I last updated last night, but yeah, I am intrigued, but also nothing much is happening. But oh no, I left off right as Cyrus's mom was I need you to kill my son. So it's a bit dramatic, but yeah, I love vibes. Someone just said, was it possible, he wondered, to love and detest a parent simultaneously? Yes, babe, welcome to the real world. So Kamran is finally in the dungeons with Hazan. That's how I'm gonna say his name. And all the guards are like, he's a jinn. It took 12 of us to restrain him. We put him in shackles made specially for his kind. Don't piss me off. Don't piss me off. And then Cameron was like, Hazan, I bid you rise. And Hazan says, with all due offense, sire, please fuck off. Love this man. Well, do I? I don't really know him, but like, love him. This man is so down bad. He's like, if Hazan is loyal to Elise and not Cyrus, well, that changed everything. Babe. Babe. The firefly. Give it back to him. You know, this man's right. He's like, Hazan speaking. You think I'd attempt to resurrect an old empire? Sentence my own people to death by inciting a war they lack the numbers to win? Because he's a jinn. An innocent young woman was being actively hunted by your grandfather for the terrible crime of existing, lest you forget. I wanted only to situate her somewhere safe. But for we have humanity. Crazy that the jinn are displaying more humanity than the humans. Who said that? She is betrothed to him. She is betrothed to Cyrus. Hazan says, you refer to the sentient piece of a human excrement? I really hope he's about to tell him why the magic is changing, like the gold streaks around his body. Have you come here to kill me or make me a deal? Because if I'm going to die anyway, I fail to see the point in assisting you. Yeah, actually. Cameron says, I sentenced you to death because I thought your alliance with the girl meant you were conspiring with the Tulanian Empire. I thought you assisted in my grandfather's murder and the assassination of the diviner. I assumed you were trying to overthrow the crown and that you were working in tandem with the Tulanian king. I suppose I should be flattered you thought me so enterprising. I don't have to condone your actions to understand them. Oh, now he's convincing Hazan that Elise is actually working with the devil. The distortion of the magic, it means your right to the crown is no longer absolute. It means there might live a worthier inheritance of the throne. Whole like concept of like a worthy like inheritor to the throne is always really interesting to me, because what decides that? But yeah, I don't think. I mean, look, Cameron needs to sit down. He just needs to lead a life as a normal person. So she intends to take my empire? Baby, your ministers are attempting to take your empire. They'll want a validation of the magic, which you will not receive. I will be the one to decide whether she has betrayed her people, which means you will not disturb a hair on her head unless I give you leave to do so. Oh, and then Hazan just like rips the iron manacles. All this time you could have walked free? I like this guy. I fought the guards because they treated me like an animal. When they realized I was Jinn, their behavior toward me grew only more reprehensible. I remained here because I thought I deserved to die, for I thought I'd failed her. Now I've learned I must live, if only long enough to understand what's happening. I'm on chapter 12, so 40% into the book. Good morning, besties. How are you all? I am wanting to continue reading. However, I do have a lot of assignment work. I have one assignment due Sunday and the next due Monday. Also, nothing much has happened. I did read a bit more. I highlighted something, I can't remember what it was I wanted to mention, but we did have a moment of Cyrus, like Cyrus and Elisa are like, she's kind of like flirting, trying to be nice, like kind of lure him in and then kill him. And then he's just sitting there with his hand on his cheek and he's smiling at her and he looks so cute, but the whole time my heart is thumping because I'm like, no, like, man's really smart. And then he gets closer to her and he says, I think like, wicked girl, you've been scheming with my mother. I'm scared. Yesterday I started editing this vlog and I'm already at 18 minutes and I'm only like 42% into the book. So sorry, this is gonna be a long one. Cyrus is just convinced Miss Elise is dating every man with a pulse. Okay, I think I last updated when Cyrus was like, you've been making deals with my mom. And so I have read a bit since. So basically Cameron has made Omid, this like 12-year-old boy, his minister instead of Hazen, because Hazen had, you know, betrayed him. Well, not within quotes, he really did betray him. And he's also found a bunch, well, he found all of Elise's belongings, and in her bag there was a book that has this like prophecy. I'm updating my reading vlog. So he's found this book which has kind of like a prophecy in it. Well, it's an inscription that says, melt the ice in salt, break the thrones at sea, in this woven kingdom clay and fire shall be. So clay and fire shall be clearly are referring to like the humans and the jinn. One are made of fire, humans are made of clay, they will come together. Melt the ice in salt. My theory is, well, she has ice in her veins, and the only way I think to get rid of it is like 5 people will need to sacrifice themselves for her so she can access magic, which is described as a mineral that can be found in mountains. So I'm gonna assume that's probably what they mean in the salt, maybe as in like a mineral. So melt the ice, or it has something to do with sea, because braid the thrones at sea, and they all are, Toulon and Ardonia are by the sea, so braid the thrones, connect them. And so that's the first thing that happened. But then also, again, Cameron has been having those moments where like anytime somebody says Elise's name, he's physically grunting in pain, which is interesting. And so Hazen was like, oh, that's definitely some pretty strong magic she's put on you. Cyrus and Elise, I'm loving their banter. I'm loving that there's an actual foundation to them, because I think there's some sort of magic connected to Cameron's connection to Elise, and the fact that man has known her for less than a week and is obsessed. But with Cyrus, I love that it's actual like connection, even though they mostly hate each other. But he's really interesting. He's also clearly really miserable, because he's basically just proposed to her, and he's like, I will give you my kingdom and my life if you marry me. Like, I need to fulfill whatever deal I have with the devil so bad. I'm willing to give everything up. I will let you kill me, as long as my death is on my own terms. And then Hazen and Cameron were talking about the inscription, like the prophecy of like fire and clay will be, and Hazen also says, I think that she's meant to bring our kingdoms together. That's what it means to braid the thrones. But then he also figures out that Cameron had kissed Elisa, which was a very funny scene. This book is definitely, so I want to say more lighthearted, mostly because again nothing like really substantial is happening in terms of like events. There's more space for humor, whereas then Elisa and Cyrus are talking, and he's telling her like about, he's like, I've been desperate in my life, like I've been in a place where I was so desperate that I made a deal with the devil. You think nothing much affects me? But then he says, I'm not really like too keen on being friends with you. He says, I have no interest in your companionship. And the Nosta goes cold, which is basically something Hazen had given her, which like it goes warm if somebody's speaking the truth. And so the fact that it goes cold means that he's lying. And I'm just like, maybe just needs friends. Like he's kind of funny. He's always like, you're so pretty and you're so charming and you're gorgeous and you're stunning and all the men are in love with you. He's convinced that Cameron's in love with her, which he is. He's convinced that her and Hazen have been together. He was also apparently there when she gets attacked by those like mercenaries that the king had sent after her in book 1. Apparently he was there, and he refers to it, I was there to protect the devil's darling. And then Hazen shows up. Just how many men do you have wrapped around your finger, you stunning little hypocrite? But she says to him that she still will not agree to marry him, however she will sincerely consider it. Cyrus went briefly still. Relief hit him slowly, then suddenly, so much so that he looked as if he'd been knocked back a step. He closed his eyes as he exhaled, reaching unsteadily for the wall to support his weight. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you. Cyrus opened his eyes, and for the first time since she'd met him, he looked almost happy. It turned back time on his face, made him look more youthful. His eyes were bluer, brighter. He smiled, and it was real. It reminds me of the line in, is it City of Heavenly Fire? By Cassandra Clare, when Jonathan finally dies, and it's like his eyes were green, and he says, I've never felt so light. Like, I think that's why YA always hits so hard. Like, those are children. Obviously there's no reason for anyone to die, but like when you're reading about those people going through these terrible things and they're just babies. And he wants to take her out to see Toulon, and Hazen is now trying to go to Toulon so he can figure things out. I think he just thinks he can storm into the neighboring kingdom and just ask questions. I lost my mind the moment I met her Hazen. Everyone wants to empty the treasure houses. Actually literally just entered the house from uni. I've just put my bag down, but my sad update is I don't know how much reading I can get done. However, I have read a bit more of the book. I read one of the most interesting scenes on the bus this morning. Should have recorded my reactions. See, I need to have like a camera on me at all times recording my reactions, or else this just won't work. I'm 73% in. But yeah, big things happening. I'm very excited. I finally have the time to sit down and give you the rundown of what has happened since we last spoke. First of all, Cyrus is my baby. So far, I still have my guards up. I don't know what's happening, and I would be remiss not to mention the fact that many of my friends have read these books, and many of them do adore Cyrus. And so I am assuming that by the end of book 4, he still hadn't done anything that bad. And so I am like, my emotions towards him are quite informed by the people around me. However, I do also feel for him like personally. And there's this moment where Eliza asks Cyrus if he's alright, and he says ever. She notices that he like stiffens a lot and he spaces out a lot, and then he says, you know, I realize you might not believe this, but I never dreamed I'd one day be forced to take a wife in this manner. I'm trying to give you Toulon, a jewel among empires, a land that is my home. I stand here begging you to marry me, to kill me, and take my nation, my crown, my legacy, and you won't even say yes. I really thought I'd already hit rock bottom, but this is a shade of wretchedness I've never known. I feel so bad for him. I really do. And then she starts like feeling sad for him, and she goes to like comfort him by touching him, and he grabs her hand and she's like, I wasn't gonna hurt you, I was just like, and he's like, what, are you gonna console me? How ridiculous. We are not meant to console each other. And then he says, he's kind of cutie, he calls her charmingly pathetic. I tell you a single sad story and your defense is weakened that easily against me, you lovely little fool, you're going to get yourself killed. She also, I can't like this moment made me eat. She says, you know, you say my name a lot. I say your name a perfectly normal amount. Do you really think so? And it's kind of cute because he does definitely call her name a lot. But also she's kind of sad, and she says, it's been so long since anyone has spoken to me in earnest that I fear I've lost perspective. And then he realizes that she's never really like had a life. Like her parents died when she was very young, and she's never really gone out or seen the world or anything. So he starts taking her out to Toulon. He feeds her bread for the first time, and she just casually trauma dumps these like really sad stories that she doesn't realize are sad. And then while they're out in Toulon going on a walk, she realizes a lot of the jinn seem quite attuned to her. Like whenever she passes by, they look up as if they've either heard a voice that they recognize, or they're trying to look at her like they've seen her before but they don't know where. And then this jinn woman falls to her knees and starts screaming. Eliza realizes that Cyrus can't see her, so she must be using her invisibility powers, and that kind of also shocks Eliza, kind of like culture shock, because in Ardunia, jinn aren't allowed to use their powers freely. And so this woman starts screaming, and Eliza starts like panicking, and she's like, oh my god, what do I do? And then people start recognizing who she is, and somebody yells, oh my god, it's real, like she's here, the queen is back, she's gonna save us. And at this moment, I'm so ridiculous. Cyrus says, I know you asked me not to use magic on you, but please let me get you out of here, because he can use magic to transform them somewhere else. And all I could think of was consent king. Finally, she like breaks down and she can't take it because all the people are screaming at her and like shouting at her like, oh, you've come to save us, you're our savior. And so he magics them out into a flower field, and she's basically lying down in the earth between all these flowers, and she's really sad, asking him questions. But there was this cute moment where she says, he says to her, you strike me as precisely the sort of maudlin person who would appreciate the company of flowers while crying. She says, I think that might be the nicest thing you've ever said to me. And he says, it wasn't a compliment. says, oh, like, I'm surprised that people like you. Like, when people are talking about King Cyrus, they mention that they like you, because he also had like an, not like an invisibility spell, but like a spell on him that people wouldn't recognize him if they saw him. And she's like, you killed the king, you took the crown in a very violent manner, but people still don't hate you. And he says, I was not the first in history to claim a crown in an unsavory manner, and I will not be the last. In the end, citizens care mostly about clean water, fair wages, good harvests, and a carefully managed treasury. I take care of my people. I give them no reason to hate me. Well, clapping for him as if that's not bare minimum, but like, yeah. So just like in comparison to even like Arjunia, who, from what we've seen, only is weaker in magic. Like, they have everything. They have so much more, except for magic, and yet the people are so unhappy. There are beggars on the streets, there are dying children. Their own king, before Cameron, like Cameron's grandpa, was beating the snakes on his shoulders. If you know, you know. She starts basically like questioning him, and she's like, I need to know more about you. She asks him about his dad, like, was your dad a bad person? He's like, I don't want to talk. And then she's like, I can't trust you. Like, I can't trust that you'll fulfill your end of your bargain if I can't even like, if you won't even answer. And he says, I'll make you a blood oath. And she's like, no, because then you'll be bound to me, and I don't want to. Like, I still want you to have your free will. I still want certain things to be on your terms. And then Cyrus starts basically like trying not to scream, and he is being tortured by the devil. He's torturing him, and it's actually the most terrifying. Like, it was honestly a brutal scene. He's in so much pain, and he's screaming, and there are bruises showing up on his body, and he's bleeding from multiple places, and she's trying to help him, and then he's pushing her away, and he yells, I can't, I'm sorry, please. Like, he's talking to Iblis, the devil. And then he says, not the other one, please, I'm begging you, don't take the other one. What does that mean? The other what? Am I dumb? Is there something I'm not connecting here? I really want to know. And it's so sad. And she's like, I'm not, like, Iblis is probably torturing him to try to force my emotions to the surface, and so I can be like, okay, I'll marry him, just stop this. But then Iblis will be like, oh, so I can't emotionally manipulate her, I can't be doing, like, she doesn't want to fall for it. But this scene is honestly quite terrible, and she's crying, and he's crying, and she's thinking of him, not for the first time, but mostly like God, he is also a child just like me. She's just feeling so much empathy and sadness for him, because she's been in the same spot, but she doesn't even know what he's dealing with. Jump to Cameron, but after that we come back to Elise, and he's in pain. He's been knocked out for a while, he's not waking up, and she has his limp head in her lap, and she's playing with his hair, and it's such an intimate moment where they've both just gone through such intense emotion. And again, like, it's horrible. I was watching it in like horror, and I think there's another reason why at the beginning of this clip I said that I'm feeling so much for Cyrus. And it's conflicting emotions, because they still don't know him enough to like fully be like, I understand him and everything he's done. Wow. But there was this moment where Omid, his, like, the young boy who's his minister, Miss Huda, a really happy, noble woman, Dean, who is an apothecarist, I don't know how to say that word. He's basically used to tend to Elise's wounds from working as a servant, and Mrs. Amina, who was her housekeeper that used to actually abuse Elise. And it's actually a really, really funny scene. It was highly entertaining to me. I'm gonna go send screenshots to my sister to try to convince her to read these books with me. Hey, my sisters, if y'all don't know, this is the Tahereh and Nour show.
Be a clock in your dream, then the dream isn't real, or something like that.
No dream is real. Oh, look at that inside. They won't be able to tell us apart.
Okay, hug.
Oh, he caught her hand. And he
What?
kissed her. Like, her hand. And so these books, do you want to read these books? Killed his dad for the crown, took the throne. And there are 4 books out, and Farida loves it. Farida's the one who convinced me to read it. She was more than a little unbalanced by the tenderness of his kiss. Keep in mind he's just been tortured by Elise, and he passed out, and now he's waking up to his head in her lap. He turned his head in her lap, sliding his hand up the inside of her thigh like it might have been a pillow.
Scandal!
So he just calls her Angel.
Little did he know.
He actually doesn't know she's Jinn.
He knows?
This is Cyrus, the king of the other kingdom. To find out how he knows and why they're together, you should read the book.
What is this advertisement?
She says, is it magic? Are you under a spell right now? He says, yes, always happens. Part of the cycle. Free him. Free him. Also, whenever the diviners are nearby, Cameron can almost sense them, which is weird. He's describing it as an odd hum. Elisa had suggested that he sees wearing clothes woven with a glittering thread. It had been an interesting observation, for the gilded stripe that once neatly bisected his chest and torso had all but shattered across his body in an almost reactive manner. I knew it! I knew it. Guys, I'm so locked in.
Scary as this gets struck with lightning.
Okay, so one of the ministers wants Cameron to get checked by the diviners now, but that might cause trouble because if the diviners look at how the magic is spreading around his body, they might decide that he's not the appropriate heir for the throne. During these dark times, Zahak, the minister, says it is of the utmost importance that we pledge our allegiance only to the true sovereign of our dunya. So if they do test Cameron and he's not like the official heir apparent or whatever, what are they gonna do? There is no sense in allowing a child to inherit the greatest empire in the world simply by order of birth. I agree, but also I don't think you're any better. Bereft of a crown, you are a little more than a spoiled child, unseasoned and ill-informed. I can't lie, I kinda agree. Like, I don't think Cameron should be on the throne. I think he needs to be like a farmer. He needs to be a regular person, actually. The diviners are taking him forcefully. Oh wait, it seems like the diviners are on his side. They're saying we're only gonna test him tonight. We're not gonna do anything more. They took him to the prison in a tower. We're back to Cyrus. He just said, why did you leave me? Will you help me? She said. I was trying to take off your coat. In stark, childlike motions, he removed the rest of the article, then shoved the garment half-heartedly away from himself. I'm telling you, they're just babies. He just took his shirt off. It wasn't right to be so attracted to a man she was meant to kill. I'm gonna have to agree with that. So Elise just heard a knock on the door, and a maid is going to walk in, and Elise goes to run away, and she opens the first door she sees. Who knows what she's about to find out, but we're back to Cameron's puff. Also, Cameron's aunt isn't responding to him, which is just like the women in this book are very interesting. Cyrus and Cameron's mothers, and then his aunt. Okay, he's hearing people talking, and he can't tell who it is, but people are saying, did you have any idea that the nobles were reconsidering his right to the throne? How cruel. And in the wake of his grandfather's murder. And the other person says, I don't know, miss, his grandfather wasn't a very good person. Is this gonna be Miss Hook? Oh man, see, I told you. Cameron was on both knees now, fighting back a cry of agony as his chest heaved and his head ached and his ears rung painfully. What? The diviners are trying to communicate with him. Turn out your pockets. He suddenly found a pocket in his cloak, because the diviners had left him a message to wear his cloak tonight. And he found a box in it. It's a paper. This feather to my grandson, to use only when all else seems lost, when his tragedies feel insurmountable and hope feels impossible. He will need only to touch it to his own blood, and Seymour will comfort him, as she once did for me. I also leave him my There the message was cut off. Oh, a prophecy. The wind was screaming, the child was too. He screamed in the way children often do. When their parent is vile and stupidity reigns, when delusion wins and intellect wanes. He seated himself on his mother's back and she tore through the sky with a deafening crack. Color exploded when she took flight. She landed at the palace in a shower of light. None would forget the day Zal had returned, the way the world brightened, the way his father had burned. Zal took the throne he was always meant to claim, but he would never forget his true mother's name. That's who he's now sending to Kamran. But now we're back to Eliza. She stood then in a well-worn sitting room, anchored by a rug of astonishing detail, rendered in vivid shades of blue. She saw evidence of Cyrus everywhere. That's so cute. She wants to open his drawers and go through his stuff. There's a massive cabinet. Now the cabinet is trembling. Attempted to retrieve what was hers, but she'd worried she'd lost. And Cyrus, damn him, was fast. She could not know how he'd done it. She had no idea what he'd seen or how exactly he'd spun her around and cornered her. She knew only that Cyrus was about to show her exactly why so much of the world feared him. For she was pinned against the wall and there was a sword pointed at her throat. He has her book. I stole it. I replaced it with a decoy enchanted to look identical? That's... so the book that Kamran has. Now she feels like an idiotic, weak fool for being kind to him. No matter his occasional moments of humanity, Cyrus was in bed with the devil. Oh, jeez. Oh, she's kicking him now. You kicked me, he said angrily. Maybe you should explain to me why you even have a locked cabinet inside of a locked chamber in your own locked wings of the castle. Poor tormented Cyrus. All this time you've been trying to make it animate, haven't you? He's talking about the closet because it opened itself to Eliza because the book is hers and it was calling to her. I love that she keeps on using his words against him. She's so funny. He says, I won't fight you. Forgive me. I never should have lifted my sword against you. Why not? You don't think me a worthy opponent? You have always been too worthy. I will not hurt you. She says, you don't need to worry about hurting me. I'm quite capable of defending myself. Eliza, I would destroy you. This made her mad, and so she attacks him. And he's retreating and evading. Give me back my book. It belongs to me. Marry me. Now she's breaking his death. You have no intention of triple crossing me? Because she's already double crossed him once. He doesn't remember anything. He's convinced that she wasn't there when he woke up, like in the flower field. Cyrus, I didn't leave you there. And he says that wasn't a dream. Fucking hell, let Cyrus... Yeah, I didn't know Cyrus could say fuck. No matter the circumstances, I manage in the end to take care of myself. How often does this guy get tortured? You cried for me. Eliza, my own mother has never touched me with such tenderness. Iblis does this to him twice a week. Let me make you my queen. Are you trying to seduce me to get me to marry you? No. It's one thing to enter into a false arrangement in the pursuit of our own interests, but this, Cyrus, this wouldn't be false, and it would complicate everything. What were you going to do if I kissed you? What would come next? I would marry you. I'd marry you tomorrow, and then I'd take you to bed for weeks. And then you expect me to kill you? That choice is yours. I keep on staring at that fucking cut on your neck, Eliza, and I want to die because he nicked her when they were fighting. Okay, I'm gonna take a pause here. I am at 92%. Terrible time to pause, but I think I need to collect myself. Hello and welcome to what I believe might be the final installment in this video because, as stated yesterday, I only have 8% left of my book. I did stop reading yesterday at a bit of an awkward point, like it was getting exciting between Cyrus and Eliza, and now, y'all, believe it or not, I've been studying non-stop. I studied for a minimum of 3 hours straight. So join me. The last thing that was happening was Cyrus and Lisa were basically flirting. And he's like, marry me. He's just like, he's officially proposing, but again, it's happening really quickly, but whatever. He said to her, like, I've made my intentions clear from the beginning. I want to marry you. And she says, no, the devil wants you to marry me. It's not the same thing. And he says, marry me and you get the crown. The devil is briefly sated and I'm discharged in great part of my debt. We all get something we want. Why is that so wrong? And then I told you I was next. He says, I'd take you to bed. And he is basically making this like big love declaration speech. I sought you out under his orders. I disrupted my life and disordered my home and tore myself open at his behest. All for you. All for you. Do you really not see what you've done to me? In the matter of days, you've stripped me down and appended my world. My hours are in a disarray. My future is in chaos and my head. And instead of being angry, instead of driving you away, instead of wishing we'd never met, I keep on staring at that fucking cut on your neck, Elise, and I want to die. So let me... He's been dreaming of her for months, and she says, what did you dream about me? Are you not allowed to tell me? Oh no, this story I'm free to share. I just don't want to. Spare me a bit of mercy. Don't make me say these things out loud. I sense a bit of soulmatism happening here. So Iblis has been putting images of Elisa in his mind, but he says, I should have doubted sooner, but you always struck me as far too lovely to be associated with him. So generous, so sweet, so beautiful I could hardly look at you, even in my dreams. I thought my mind had magicked you to life as an antidote to my nightmare. You are far more enchanting in real life. It is excruciating to be in your presence. Then be with me, let me worship you. You have no idea what I want. I have been in agony for 8 months. This smells crazy. I just want to read this whole thing out loud to you, just like let you experience it with me. Sudden urgent pounding at the door. It's Sarah, his mom. Jinn are now storming the castle because they want Elise? Question mark. Okay, we're back with Cameron. Oh wait, I think I'm on the final chapter. Oh, mid tackling Cameron into a hug. Bless him. Cameron's mom is there. And the bird is here. The bird brought more birds with her. I'm done. Wow, what a journey. I still stand with what I said at the beginning, that this book definitely has a bit of book 2 in the series syndrome, in which like nothing much happens. We just got to know the characters on a much deeper level, and that is something that I do appreciate and enjoy. But I mean, look, you see my reaction throughout the book, you know how I feel. Maybe I'll compose myself later and add some stuff, but I am very, very glad I've read those books, and I can't wait to read book 3. I am gonna do what I did between books 1 and 2 and read another book in between, just so I can keep the books separate in my mind and actually know what happens in what book. But I can't wait to start book 3 and eventually 4. But maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should take my time, because book 5 isn't out yet. We'll have to... I'm gonna... Wait, when does that come out? Expected 31 August 2026? Nah, y'all. Wait, the top comment says Cyrus and Elisa better be endgame. I was so convinced that they'd be married by then. There are rings on every Spiral of Fate on the cover. To be fair, every Spiral of Fate has just come out, so... Alright, well... I think I was gonna say this is the first Tahereh Mafi book that I finished, but that's not true. I read every Expanse. A Very Large Expanse of Sea. That's the one. I read that one in 2018. Ages away. Or ages ago. But yeah, I haven't read any of the Shatter Me books. I actually think I almost finished book one, but I was never really too interested. But oh my god, I'm so happy I read these books. I really am. I love them. Can't wait to collect them. We're gonna have to make some space for them. Yay! Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. I can think of a few people that are definitely watching. You know who you are. We've been DMing for many days. But yeah, thank you for watching. All right, bye.